If you teach yoga or Pilates and you've been told to go gentle with older adults, here's the problem. Gentle doesn't always mean safe, and it doesn't automatically support bone density, balance, or strength, which are three of the biggest concerns in healthy aging. Hi, I'm Heather, founder of Om Bodies Yoga and creator of the Strong Bones Healthy Aging Method. I train yoga and Pilates teachers to confidently support aging bodies using functional movement, smart sequencing, and evidence-informed modifications. And in this video, we're going to talk about 5 key sequencing principles that help older adults build resilience instead of fragility. So why does how we sequence our classes matter so much? Well, one of the first things that teachers discover when they're working with older adults is that sequencing becomes far more than just putting together a creative flow. It becomes a strategy. Older adults often need longer preparation poses, progressive loading, balance work earlier in the class before they fatigue, gradual transitions, and enough novelty to stimulate adaptation. When we sequence with intention, we support real physiological change instead of just stretching people for an hour. So let's talk about our first principle of sequencing classes for older adults. So bones respond to load, but they respond to load progressively. Instead of jumping straight into weight-bearing drills or balance challenging shapes, we layer in components slowly. Okay, so we might start a class on our backs, so in a supine position with some mobility drills. So I might stack my knees over my hips. Start with a few TikToks, which are going to combine core activation with our mobility. So hugging the low ribs in, strengthening up, kind of stabilizing through the core. Big toes together, knees touch, just starting to drop the knees to one side and then up and over to the other. And just moving from side to side, only to the point where you feel the side waist muscles start to grip. Drop the feet down. Once we've moved through warm-up, then we move into preparation. So we come over onto all fours, stand strong through the upper body, hug the low ribs in, lift the pubic bone. And then from here, just start by extending one leg back, shifting forward and back, just placing some weight in the wrists, the hands, while at the same time stretching through the back of that right leg. And you might even lift the back foot up. So this is all in preparation for that unilateral work. From here, you can even add this push through the palms and hover the opposite knee, tap it down, push and lift, tap it down. So we're carrying over from warm-up that core activation. It's the same. And then we'll keep going in our mini example. We'll come up to stand. You'll need a chair and a block if you're trying this at home, but you take a block and your chair. You flip the chair around so the back of the chair is available. All 4 feet of the chair are on the mat, so lower slip risk. And we'll start with the right leg. So what I'm going to do is bring my right hand to the chair. I'll step my right foot on the block, and then keeping my chest on a high diagonal, still cueing this hugging of the low ribs, the lifting of the pubic bone to create that core stability. Now I'm just going to step the left leg back into a high lunge kind of position. So all we're going to do here is a little dip down and a little push up. So again, we're continuing over, we're drawing over that core activation. Core is still stabilizing, still working, but now we're bringing in one leg is doing one thing, the other is helping to support. So it's just a little dip down and a little press up. Then holding on to the chair for stability and balance. They start to lift up through their chest just a touch. They're going to pull this left leg forward. Now this might be enough. Just flexing the foot. Maybe they play with lifting one hand away from the chair, working their balance. The chair is there. So if needed at any point, the hand comes back down. Good. And so here's your balance, right? This is integrating all of the actions that we've already worked on. We've got core stabilization. We're working the hips, but it is unilateral. When this is finished, they'll just lower their foot down and step off the block and switch to the other side. Remove the props from your mat, put them off to the side. And in cool down, we want to make sure that we release any tension that we created. So keeping in mind what had to work, what would enjoy a little bit of a stretch. So maybe it's just heel toeing their feet apart, dropping the knees in towards one another. They never have to touch. Cactus your elbows out to the side, dropping your knees over to the left. You might extend your right elbow. And then inhale, draw your knees back up to center. Rebend your elbow, second side. Exhaling, knees to the right. Left arm extends, back of the hand resting on the earth. Inhaling back to center. And just repeat, keep moving from side to side. Although this isn't a complete sequenced class, you can see the thread of commonality that weaves all of the portions together. This kind of scaffolding allows the nervous system and the tissues to prepare before they're asked to perform. Moving right along to our second principle of sequencing for older adults. In younger populations, we often stretch early to prep for strength later. Aging bodies typically benefit from the reverse. Strength first increases joint stability, proprioception, muscle activation, and functional capacity, all of which make stretching safer and more effective instead of destabilizing. Principle number 3. One of the most common sequencing mistakes I see is placing balance work at the end of class, after standing sequences or longer flows. But balance demands attention, control, and neuromuscular precision. Fatigue undermines all three. So instead, in these classes, we front load the balance work when the nervous system is feeling quite fresh. Okay, so one of my favorite simple balance drills that I like to offer a bit on the earlier side in class is to ask students to bring their chair to their mat. It's there for just in case. All 4 feet of the chair on the mat, all other props are cleared away. We eliminate as many tripping hazards as possible. So one hand comes to the back of the chair. They pop up onto the opposite toe tips, rotate the knee out to the side, and they're welcome to stay here with the toes on the ground, just hugging everything in, standing up tall, lifting the pubic bone and hugging the low ribs in. Or they can bring their foot up. I cue them to bring it up to their calf. Once they're in their variation of tree pose, I offer the option to challenge their balance, maybe lifting the fingertips away from the chair, maybe sliding the palms together in front of their heart center. The chair is there, always within reach if they'd like it. Whoops. So hand comes down to the chair before we move forward. Then the tree pose leg comes forward. Extend the leg out in front of them without leaning back, standing up nice and tall, shoulders over hips. Opposite hand to the hip, maybe lifting the leg a little bit higher, and then pointing the toes and tapping the toes down in front. And then the toes lift up and out to the side. Then the leg lifts up and back. Then up and out to the side, little toe taps, up and forward. Up, out to the side, up and back. Up, out to the side, up and forward. Then flexing the foot one more time, flex, hover at any point, hovering the foot, maybe lifting it a tiny bit higher, lowering the foot down, and then repeating it on the second side. Principle number 4. This is a huge one. Teach the transitions. So the research shows that many injuries in older adults don't happen because of the pose or the exercise itself. They happen because of the transition. For example, transitioning down to the floor or up from the floor, or turning from side to side, even stepping over objects and changing direction can be the thing that a person does that causes an injury. When we teach transitions, we're actually teaching ADLs, or activities of daily living, which keep people independent for longer. This brings us to principle number 5. Include unilateral loading. Life isn't symmetrical, and neither is bone adaptation. Gait is unilateral. Stairs are unilateral. Balance is unilateral. Yet many yoga sequences are heavily bilateral. Think about it. Warrior 2, triangle, goddess, bridge, all symmetrical, minimal loading variations. When we include unilateral work, we improve balance, hip stability, gait mechanics, bone stimulus, which are all key to aging well. The beautiful thing about these principles is that none of them require you to abandon your lineage, your personal style, or the heart of your teaching. They simply make your classes more supportive, more functional, and more aligned with what aging bodies genuinely need. So, if you're a yoga or Pilates teacher and you want to keep learning how to support aging bodies with confidence, strength, and clarity, join my email community. That's where I share teacher resources, upcoming trainings, and deeper education you won't find on social media. The link is in the description, and I'd love to stay connected. Thanks for watching, and thanks for being a teacher who cares about doing this well. I'll see you next time.